Maurice Sam and SONIA story nobody saw coming. Happy New Year family. Hey fans, if you're new to our channel, don't just watch till the end, join the family by hitting the subscribe button and turn on your notifications, so you never miss any of our videos. Trust me, you don't want to be the last to know. Alright guys, something is really going on in the Nollywood industry that I am here to share with you. Do you want to know? Alright then sit back and watch till the end as we talk about the trending in the movie industry. Guys, you know that feeling when you're watching a movie and everything's going perfectly, the couple's laughing, the music swelling, you're already planning what to say in the group chat about how beautiful love is, and then bam, the screen cuts to black and you're sitting there with your mouth open like, oh wait, what just happened? That's exactly what December 2024 felt like for everyone who'd been watching Maurice Sam and Sonia's journey. And I mean everyone. Your aunties were invested. Your baba was asking questions. Even that one friend who doesn't follow celebrity drama suddenly had opinions. Because this wasn't just another breakup story. This was the emotional equivalent of ordering your favorite meal, taking that first perfect bite, and then someone flipping the entire table over for no reason. Let's rewind to January, because that's where this whole thing gets interesting. The year started with something rare in the world of public relationships, actual, visible, you could feel it through the screen hope. Not the manufactured kind that influencers package with ring lights and strategic camera angles, but the real stuff. The kind that makes you smile at your phone like an idiot on the bus. Maurice and Sonia weren't performing perfection, they were showing progress. The difference. Progress has awkward moments and learning curves and inside jokes that don't quite land. Progress looks human. And people were eating it up because after years of watching perfectly curated relationship content that feels about as authentic as a politician's apology, here was something that felt genuine. They were fumbling through growth together, documenting the messy middle parts that most people edit out, and somehow that made everyone believe that maybe, just maybe, real love could survive in the age of Instagram filters and 3-second attention spans. From January through November, there was this beautiful momentum building. Not the explosive, fireworks everyday kind of momentum that burns out by March, but the steady kind. The kind that made you check in every few weeks and think, oh, they are still going. They are still smiling. They are still choosing each other. It was like watching someone train for a marathon, not exciting every single day, but you respected the consistency. You saw the small victories adding up. The way they handled disagreements started maturing. The way they talked about each other in interviews shifted from nervous excitement to comfortable confidence. People noticed. Fans started using them as reference points in their own relationships, which is either the biggest compliment or the most dangerous pressure you can put on two humans who are just trying to figure things out like everyone else. But that's what happens when you let people into your story. They start writing themselves into it, projecting their own hopes and fears and unresolved issues onto your relationship like you're some kind of emotional vision board. Then December arrived, and it arrived loud. Not with explanations or warnings or those cryptic, going through some things, posts that at least prepare you for impact. It just crashed in like that relative who shows up to family dinner already arguing with someone on the phone. Suddenly everything felt heavy in a way nobody expected. The confusion hit different than regular heartbreak because this wasn't a slow decline you could see coming from miles away. This wasn't the relationship that had been limping along on life support while everyone whispered, just let it go already. This was the one that seemed to be working. And that's what made people spiral. The questions started flooding in from every direction. What happened? What did we miss? Was there a sign? Did somebody cheat? Did families get involved? Was it the pressure? Was it social media? Was it us? And the answers? Crickets. Just thick, uncomfortable silence that made everyone more anxious because the human brain absolutely hates unanswered questions. We'd rather invent wild conspiracy theories than sit with not knowing, which is exactly what started happening as December wore on and nobody said anything concrete. Here's what made this situation hot in such a specific way: people weren't mourning a failure. They were mourning interrupted success. There's a completely different flavor of grief that comes with watching something good fall apart versus watching something that was already struggling finally collapse. When something that was barely holding together falls apart, there's almost relief mixed in with the sadness. Like, well, at least they're not suffering anymore. But when something that was thriving suddenly breaks, that feels like betrayal. That feels like the universe playing a cruel joke. It's the emotional equivalent of studying for a test for months, feeling confident, sitting down to take it, and then the fire alarm goes off and they cancel the whole thing. You put in the work. You saw the results. You were right there at what felt like a breakthrough moment, and then something you can't even name yanked it all away. Fans weren't just sad, they were emotionally whiplashed. They'd invested hope, real, vulnerable, maybe love actually works, hope, and suddenly that investment was in freefall with no explanation, no parachute, no soft landing in sight. The tears people cried over this one day, I knew this would happen, tears. These were the, but everything was going so well, tears, which hit different because they are mixed with betrayal and confusion and this awful feeling of watching someone drop the ball right before crossing the finish line. People were literally going back through old videos and posts like detectives at a crime scene, searching for clues they might have missed. Wait, in this video from October, did you see how he looked at her? Was that a sign? In this photo from her birthday, notice how she's not wearing the bracelet he gave her. Do you see it? The internet turned into a massive true crime forum except the crime was heartbreak and everyone was a self-appointed expert with theories ranging from mildly plausible to absolutely unhinged. Someone probably blamed Mercury retrograde. Someone definitely made a TikTok with dramatic music and slow-motion clips suggesting the whole relationship was fake from the start. And somewhere, a conspiracy theorist was connecting dots that don't even exist, creating elaborate timelines with red string like they're solving a government cover-up. But here's where things got really messy, the reactions. Because a situation like this doesn't just reveal what happened between Maurice and Sonia, it reveals who's watching and why. The responses split into two very distinct camps, and the difference between them was stark. On one side, you had people who went genuinely quiet. Not the performative, I'm too mature to engage, quiet, but the real, processing, I hope they're both okay, quiet. These were the ones who understood that sometimes people you care about go through things you can't fix, and the most supportive thing you can do is give them space to heal without turning their pain into your entertainment. They hoped. They prayed. They waited. They trusted that whatever was happening was between two adults who deserved privacy while they figured it out. But then you had the other camp, and oh boy, were they excited. Like kids on Christmas morning, rubbing their hands together, finally got the drama we've been waiting for excited. And that excitement was loud. So loud it drowned out everything else. You could literally hear the difference in how people talked about the situation, and it was disturbing once you noticed it. Pain sounds soft, it's careful, it's concerned, it asks gentle questions and respects silence. But entertainment were less. It speculates wildly. It makes memes. It takes sides like this is a sporting event and not two real humans navigating something difficult. Entertainment doesn't want resolution, it wants episodes. It wants plot twists and villain arcs and dramatic confrontations. The true supporters, the ones who actually cared about Maurice and Sonia as people and not characters, went quiet because they understood that real life doesn't need a live studio audience. But the drama lovers, they pulled up chairs, popped popcorn, and settled in for the show. They weren't asking, are they okay? They were asking what happened, in all caps with 17 question marks and 3 emojis, which tells you everything about their priorities. And that's when this whole thing stopped being about Maurice Sam and Sonia at all. It became about us, the audience, the observers, the commenters, the fans, the parasocial relationship havers who somehow convinced ourselves we had a stake in someone else's private life. The uncomfortable mirror got held up and suddenly we all had to look at our own reflections and ask questions nobody wants to ask. Why am I this invested in strangers' relationship? Why does their pain feel like entertainment? Why am I angry at them for not sharing more details about something deeply personal? Why do I feel entitled to explanations? When exactly did I start treating real humans like Netflix characters I could pause and rewind and analyze frame by frame? Some people didn't like what they saw in that mirror, so they looked away quick and doubled down on their right to commentary. Others actually sat with the discomfort and realized maybe they'd crossed some lines. Maybe sending paragraph-long messages to strangers telling them how to fix their relationship isn't support, it's weird. Maybe dissecting every social media post for hidden meanings isn't concern, it's invasion. Because here's the thing about advice that nobody wants to acknowledge, not all of it is helpful, even when it's technically correct. Some advice, even when it comes from a good place, lands like judgment instead of support. The truth can be delivered with love or with a club, and the words might be identical but the impact is completely different. When the tone shifts from "I care about you" to "I know better than you," even the most well-meaning guidance starts feeling like punishment. And once advice feels like punishment, every natural human defense mechanism kicks in. You stop listening. You get defensive. You push back not because the advice is wrong but because the delivery made you feel small and controlled and humiliated. This is what happened in the comment sections and group chats and quote tweets about Maurice and Sonia. People who claimed they were just trying to help or keeping it real were actually just being harsh. They were giving TED Talks nobody asked for, diagnosing problems they couldn't possibly fully understand, prescribing solutions to situations they only knew fragments about. And when Maurice or Sonia or their close friends pushed back even slightly, these same people acted shocked and offended, like, "I was just trying to help, why are you being so sensitive?" As if the problem was the reaction and not the overstepping. Respect quietly left the conversation, and nobody seemed to notice until it was too late. One day people were supporting, and the next day they were demanding. One day they were fans, and the next day they were acting like disappointed parents, like supervisors giving performance reviews, like shareholders demanding returns on their emotional investment. Some people full-on forgot that Maurice and Sonia are autonomous human beings with the right to make their own choices, even choices that don't make sense to observers. The entitlement grew so gradually that it felt normal. After everything we've supported them through, the least they can do is tell us what happened. No. Actually, they don't owe you their trauma as content. They don't owe you a detailed breakdown of their private pain for your consumption. You're not on their payroll. You're not their therapist. You're not their parents. You're observers who they graciously allowed into part of their story, and that invitation can be revoked the second it stops feeling safe or healthy for them. But social media has convinced us that following someone means owning a piece of them, that our attention is payment that comes with access rights, that public figures forfeit privacy the moment they post anything personal. That's not support. That's surveillance with a smile. Maurice Sam and Sonia are not products. They're not algorithms optimized for your engagement. They're not storylines written for your satisfaction. They are full, complex, messy, contradictory, growing humans who are allowed to be confused, to make mistakes, to change their minds, to have bad days, to struggle, to not have all the answers, to need space, to say, "I don't want to talk about it," to protect their peace even when people are screaming for details. They don't owe you or anyone else perfection, and the fact that this even needs to be said shows how warped our relationship with public figures has become. Somewhere along the way, we decided that people who share part of their lives online have signed an invisible contract that gives us unlimited access, and when they enforce boundaries, we act personally offended. How dare they post about their relationship for months and then go private when things get hard? As if consistency in sharing requires you to perform your lowest moments for an audience. As if healing and growth and processing difficult emotions should be done publicly because you once shared happy moments publicly. The logic is completely backwards, but we've normalized it to the point where setting boundaries looks like betrayal. Love, real love, is supposed to nurture, not cage. It's supposed to create safety, not surveillance. It's supposed to give freedom, not apply pressure. But once love from fans starts feeling like obligation, once support starts feeling like chains, once encouragement starts sounding like commands, something breaks. And you can't always see exactly when it breaks because it doesn't happen all at once. It's 1,000 small moments of feeling watched, judged, managed, directed, controlled by people who claim they just want you to be happy but really want you to be happy in the specific way they've imagined. That's not love. That's projection. That's people working out their own unresolved relationship issues through your life, casting you in roles you never auditioned for, getting mad when you don't follow the script they wrote in their heads. And when the weight of all those expectations gets too heavy. When you can't breathe under the pressure of being someone's hope, someone's proof that love works, someone's inspiration, someone's cautionary tale all at once. Something's got to give. Maybe that's what December was, not an ending, but a crumbling underweight that was never theirs to carry alone. Here's what gets lost in all the drama and speculation and taking sides. January through November still happened. Those months of growth, those smiles, those breakthroughs, those moments of connection, they were real. One difficult month doesn't erase 11 months of progress any more than one bad day erases a good year. But we love to do this thing where we write entire histories based on current circumstances. Relationship ends. Suddenly it was always doomed. Someone struggles. Suddenly all their growth didn't matter. We are so obsessed with endings that we devalue everything that came before, as if the only relationships that count are the ones that last forever, as if the only growth that matters is growth that never encounters setbacks. That's not how humans work. That's not how healing works. That's not how life works. Progress isn't linear. It's messy and cyclical, and sometimes you take 3 steps forward and 2 steps back, and that doesn't mean the 3 steps forward didn't count. Maurice and Sonia showed real growth this year. That's a fact whether December went sideways or not. They tried. They worked. They showed up. And maybe right now they are in a hard season, but hard seasons don't cancel out good ones. They are just part of the full story. Breakdowns don't cancel progress, they are often part of progress, the uncomfortable part nobody wants to photograph. You don't grow by only experiencing wins. You grow in the valley, in the confusion, in the moments that humble you and crack you open and force you to confront things you'd rather ignore. Maybe what looked like an ending was actually a transformation. Maybe what felt like falling apart was actually falling into a truer version of themselves, separately or together. We don't know. We're not eyeing it. We are watching from the outside with incomplete information, filling in blanks with our own fears and biases and experiences, creating narratives that might be completely wrong. And that's fine, we're human, that's what we do. But we should at least be honest about the fact that we're guessing. We should hold our certainty loosely. We should make room for the possibility that we don't understand as much as we think we do, that there are layers to this we'll never see, that maybe, just maybe, the full story isn't ours to know. What this situation became, more than anything, was a mirror. And mirrors are uncomfortable because they show us things about ourselves we'd rather not see. It revealed who wanted healing and who wanted headlines. Who wanted privacy respected and who wanted details extracted. Who understood boundaries and who felt entitled to cross them. Who could sit with ambiguity and who needed neat explanations immediately. It separated the people who view others as humans deserving compassion from the people who view others as content deserving analysis. Some people came out of this looking like the kind of supporters you'd want in your corner during hard times, patient, kind, respectful, trusting. Others came out looking like the exact type of fans you'd need to block for your own mental health, demanding, invasive, judgmental, performative. The situation didn't create these differences, it just made them visible. It gave everyone an opportunity to show who they really are when the cameras aren't on them, when there's no social credit for being kind, when being messy and loud gets more attention than being thoughtful and quiet. In the end, this story was never just about Maurice Sam and Sonia navigating a relationship in the public eye. It was about all of us, how we love, how we support, how we react when things don't go the way we hoped, how easily we forget that the people we follow are people with feelings and rights and inner lives we're not entitled to access. It was about the blurry lines between interest and obsession, between support and control, between community and mob mentality. It was about what happens when we mistake our parasocial connection for actual relationship, when we convince ourselves that watching someone's content means we know them, when we forget that social media shows highlight reels and selected moments, never the full picture. It raised questions we should sit with. Why do we need to know everything? What are we actually getting from being this invested in strangers' relationships? What does it say about us that other people's pain can feel like entertainment? When did we decide that people who share part of their story publicly have forfeited their right to privacy? How do we support without suffocating? How do we care without controlling? These are uncomfortable questions with complicated answers, and most people would rather skip past them and get back to speculation. But maybe that discomfort is exactly what we need to sit with. So here's my challenge to you, because you've read this far and clearly you're someone who thinks about this stuff, take a minute and really examine how you showed up during this whole situation. Not how you told yourself you showed up, but how you actually did. Were you the quiet supporter or the loud speculator? Did you respect their privacy or demand explanations? Did you offer grace or judgment? Did you see them as humans or characters? Did you hope for their healing or their drama? Did you cross boundaries you wouldn't want crossed in your own life? Be honest. Because the next time someone you follow goes through something hard, and there will be a next time, you get to choose who you're going to be. You get to choose whether you're part of the noise or part of the support. And maybe, just maybe, we can all collectively decide to do better. To remember that behind every profile is a person. That our entertainment shouldn't come at someone else's expense. That support means giving people space to be imperfect, to struggle, to figure things out privately when they need to. Drop a comment and tell me, did this situation change how you think about following public figures? Are you going to approach things differently next time? Let's actually talk about this instead of just moving on to the next drama. And if you know someone who needs to hear this, share it with them. Let's start having real conversations about parasocial relationships and boundaries and what healthy support actually looks like. Because until we do, we are going to keep repeating this same cycle, just with different names and different circumstances. The story might change, but the lesson stays the same: love people, respect boundaries, mind your business, and remember that everyone is fighting battles you know nothing about.